You're listening to Releasing Trauma, a survivor's podcast. And now here's your host, Tracy Osborne. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today we are talking about eliminating limiting beliefs. And these are those beliefs that are kind of ingrained in our brain, especially from our traumas and the things that we've been told repeatedly, the things that we've told ourselves repeatedly. And they are those things that are holding us back. And, it's only by letting go that we can move forward. And helping us to do that today is Marie Balkanski. And she's going to talk with us about her story and about, how to get rid of those limiting beliefs. So Marie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, absolutely. Limiting beliefs are definitely huge for me, obviously, because they were the one thing that was getting in my way personally, and me being able to kind of strive. So I guess it would be good to just introduce who I am, just so maybe the audience knows that, I originally, my life was pretty chaotic as a child. So I went through foster care. I was on my own. I became basically emancipated is the easiest way to explain it at 16, dropped out of high school to work. And, my mother was in recovery or was an addict at the time. So I just had a very chaotic upbringing and felt heavily abandoned. Didn't realize it during the time, as a child, you just kind of think that, oh, this is how it is, this is happening to me because this is who I am. Right. And so I kind of internalized that, but there was this little voice in the back of me, which now I get is was my higher self, from this little inner guidance of me, just telling me no, you're better. You can do better. You can do anything you want to do. And, in a sense, pushing me. So I eventually did get my GED at 19. I went to undergrad, and then I went to med school. So I initially was okay, I cannot go to college. I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. Look at my background, me be a doctor? No way. So I had all these conflicts and ideas about who I was, but yet I still was pushing myself, even though I felt completely like a fraud, 100% like a fraud the whole time. Even after graduating med school, I still felt like a fraud.
Yep.
And so after graduating, I kind of had a pivotal moment where I was I've done the traditional therapy, I'd done everything, and I still felt like a fraud. I still felt not good. And I stumbled upon hypnotherapy as a modality of healing, and I did it on myself. And it took about 3 sessions for me to be wow, where were you? In this way of helping someone that really helped me see my limiting beliefs big time and understand the conversations I was having with myself that, you're not good enough, you're not capable, you're a fraud, all of these things. And so that kind of delved me into this whole world of healing from the subconscious mind, and what that looks like, the pattern of the subconscious mind, how it gets programmed, and how to then reprogram that through specific steps, which I learned through hypnotherapy, that just for me became very aligned with how I wanted to serve as a healer. And so I stepped into being a certified clinical hypnotherapist now, and, seeing this pattern and educating other people about this self-sabotage pattern, which I'm really big about, of people understanding, how I've been able to kind of uncover and reprogram those programmings and kind of handing that off to others. To do an intro. I know that was a long intro.
So I've talked with, about hypnotherapy on the show a few times, and it always fascinates me, but I still, I don't know, for some reason, I'm still hesitant to try it. And I think it's because of all the jokes and stuff about stage hypnosis, they're going to make me cluck like a chicken, and, they're going to create some kind of a trigger word. I'm going to start barking like a dog every time someone says nut or, whatever. So
yeah.
And I know that's not true, but it's that's the limiting belief,
that's
that
the
I
belief.
have.
Exactly. That I'm going to give up control, or
Yes.
that it's like the control. It's like a fear of control of, okay, because most people that, that interpret how hypnosis works feels like they're giving up that control to someone else, and that's why like people on a stage that are clicking like a chicken, you're like, why would you even want to do that? Like, you must be controlled, because who wants to do that? But the thing is, people that do stage hypnosis very specifically look for certain cues in order to know that someone is willing and wanting to perform or wanting to entertain. And so there has to be a component of want and desire in order to get up there, for example.
Right.
I mean, I don't do that stuff. I purely do therapeutic.
Right. I know clinical hypnosis is completely different from stage hypnosis.
Yeah. And for me, I just uncover the intention, like, what is it that you want to achieve? And, if it's in a career or a relationship, no matter what it is, what is the feeling that's coming up that's interfering with that? What is coming up? And sure enough, as we delve into the behavior, which is interfering with your success, it's coming from an emotion, right? And the emotion that we're feeling is coming, within the body. I'll give you me as an example. So, one of the things that for me that led me to want to seek out more help is my withdrawal. I felt completely just like I was just in my little cocoon, like flowing through life in automation. Like I felt like I had no purpose. I had no drive. I had no inspiration, motivation. Like I just felt blah. And that behavior of just like isolating myself, like I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to go to public. I didn't want to speak with people, any opportunities, relationships, things that came up, like I completely withdrew from them. So that was my behavior. It was a withdrawal. And as I looked at that, I was like, where is this coming from? When I worked with someone, it came from a feeling of sadness. It was a huge sadness. And that feeling, came through primarily like heavy in my chest. It was like almost like an elephant sitting on me. It was an overwhelming feeling. And that's another reason why I wanted to seek out help. Like, how can I get rid of this feeling of just like sadness that was like lingering?
Right.
And that feeling came from the beliefs. And so that was the pattern. The feeling of sadness came from a belief of feeling like I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm alone. Those were my most common beliefs, limiting beliefs that would make me withdraw. However, we are like computers in a sense that we have this body that is full of all of these neurons and electrons that are just electrical impulses that are flowing through us. It is the reason why I can say to myself, move your hand, and I can move my hand.
Right.
And it's that electrical impulses that are flowing through your body that are no different. And this is my metaphor of a computer. A computer has signaling back and forth. But the thing about a computer, it is the most simple model. We are a much more complex computer in a sense. But in order for the computer to know how to behave in life, it needs someone to program, right? And so someone sitting at the computer typing in ones and zeros or putting in their programming language is, for us as humans, like events and experiences. So the events, experiences, and relationships that we have primarily as a child tell us something about ourselves, right? And so for me, my abandonment, my, mom not being around made me believe that I am not worthy, I'm not good enough. And that made me feel a feeling of sadness in my chest, which then made me withdraw. And so when that pattern becomes very clear that here is the literal, like this is the step-by-step creation of your behavior, we can revert it by going backwards. And so we start with the behavior, and most people, it's a bit hard for them to clarify a feeling into a specific belief or an event. Because I know for me, I've done, an example would be regression work, where I went back and I looked at events and memories that I was like, no. I moved on from this. No. I already talked about this in traditional therapy. I already did this. And almost like didn't want to look at it.
Yeah.
But that was a part of me that was hiding, like literally it was my inner child aspect of myself, just like not terrified of coming out, terrified of speaking up. Because what happened when I did, I felt like if I did speak up, then I was abandoned. Someone would reject me. And so even running through that process of allowing myself to just open up that part of me that went through this was part of the healing, a part of the like surrendering to it and just allowing those things to kind of come open. I hope that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Now with the hypnotherapy, when you're working with somebody and you're uncovering those beliefs, how are you going in and helping them to change those beliefs? Are you giving suggestions, or do they come up with it on their own while they're under? I mean, how does that actually work?
Yeah, I love that question. So the issue is, and this is initially, I know this is kind of something hard for some people to take in, but initially, it's not the event that's the main issue. It's how we feel about the event. It's how we feel about the event. So an example would be someone that is terrified of maybe swimming or water. I live in Florida, so I'm close to the beach. And, for me, I love the beach. I love the water. I can be in like super deep water, but, I had a client that was terrified of just being in almost waist deep water. Large bodies of water terrified them. And
that'd be me.
And so it has nothing to do with the water itself, because other people are able to view the water. It's how we feel about the water that's the issue. And so what I do is I understand how they view the water, for example, and then I change why they view the way that they view about water. So come to find out, for example, my client, they had a traumatic event, and that's why they were terrified of water. When they almost drowned in a small pool of water as a little kid. And when they gained their consciousness back, the first thing that they took in, where they're very suggestible at that time, because it's like they were half asleep almost, and you're very open. And so that child woke up to their parents running at them, screaming at them, telling them how they're an idiot. How did you not have your floaties on? You're so stupid. What's wrong with you? Why did you do that? And so they were very open to that and took that in. So now they created an association between water and being stupid. Yeah. So we want to change that view. So we create a new pathway for someone by seeing what feels right for them to view that. And so, that comes with having either a facilitator to create a new view for you. It's the same way you would talk to a friend that maybe can help you pivot your perspective. Oh, well, your parents, care. They obviously look very angry and upset, and they're reacting because they love and care for you so much. The words were not appropriate, but they didn't know how else to express their feelings and emotions, is one perspective, but it didn't minimize how much they cared and loved for you, So we change the way that you view the situation at that time, because the thing is, the subconscious mind does not know the difference between real and fake.
Right.
It does not know the difference. So when we're able to get in a very relaxed state where you're almost in this ability to observe, which is meditation. Hypnosis is almost like meditation, where you're just really relaxed. You're in this sleep state that you're fully aware of. So it's also like having a lucid dream, where if you ever had a dream, you're fully aware you have a dream, and you're fully aware of everything around you. More than anything, I like to say it's like being a bird flying above your body and multiple parts that make up who you are. So you're looking down and you're seeing all these, like this whole movie playing out, and you're feeling it and experiencing it. So I go back and forth with the client to see what feels better for them and how to see it. So it's a back and forth. To answer further your question, it has to come from them. So it has to be something that is aligned with them on how to see it. Right. So I'll give suggestions, and you can kind of sense if like what you're saying is being taken in, and that's the suggestion. Well, mom was definitely, did mom love and care for you? Yeah, mom love and care for you. Yes. Did mom look angry? Yeah, mom looked angry. Because she was probably scared, right? And just giving them a different perspective on how to view it, so that the connection that they had with that takes a different view. Now we created a new pathway within their mind and how to see the situation. Because in regards to trauma, we subconsciously are holding that memory, and it's that memory based on how we felt about it at that time. Right. So now when we change the memory, that change or rewiring, you can grow up your whole life now seeing that memory that way, if that makes sense. So, like when I talk about my history, like, I've talked to people about my past and, everything I've been through. And, I've had people across me, like, start crying. And, for me, I'm very open with this because I'm no longer affected by it.
Right.
If I spoke about this before, then maybe when I talked about it way back when, I would have started crying and I would start getting that feeling in my chest, because that image, even talking about it, is creating that image for me in my mind, my subconscious mind, which doesn't know the difference between real or fake, is basically reliving the experience. It's reacting because of the images I'm showing it just by talking about it. And so that's like PTSD, that's the experience right. that we feel like is happening again and again and again. Now that experience is completely different based on what I've helped myself learn and, change the way that I view it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you mentioned that you did this to yourself. So this is something that we can do to ourselves, or is it just because of your medical background or?
Oh, yeah, I love that question. Thank you so much. I highly empower people to learn how to do this for themselves. However, there is a place of where I would say there is a limitation on how far you can go. You know your body, you know who you are. And so I would always encourage someone to do the work. And that's like, I have a podcast. So that's what my podcast is about. Like, trying to give you little tips and techniques on how to help yourself heal from within on your own time, because you are the healer. Like the main thing that I do is I take the notes, I kind of take in what you're saying and I project that back to you. And I'm kind of like a resource. So it's like, it's like having a tool belt around your waist. So I'm like that tool belt that, I try to bring out a tool and hand it to you. I bring out a tool and hand it to you. So I'm giving you tools, but those are your tools now forever. Like I handed you the tool. Right. I'm not giving you a tool just for you to use it and give it back to me. I'm giving you a tool to have for life. And so I highly love empowering people to see that they are the ones that are helping themselves and healing themselves. I'm just giving a couple more resources, just like people listening to your podcast, right? They're learning from other people. They're taking in from other people's experience, how they did it. And so they're creating this huge arsenal of how to help and heal themselves and taking in all these modalities. And so I would specifically tell them, hey, this is something you can do on your own. I recommend you do this. And one of the things that I learned how to do for myself, is parts work, which is, like I look at different aspects of myself. But the thing is, I have a part of me that I have really nurtured. And I like to say that's the higher self that I've highly nurtured to be able to help me through things. And when I get stuck, absolutely, I go and I see a facilitator. I believe that this healing journey, like I couldn't do it on my own purely. Like I did need someone to give me the resources and help guide me. And when I do get stuck, I'm not shy to not reach out to someone. I will reach out to my mentor who I've gone to, to kind of help and guide me, who was my teacher in school. So
okay. And, for those of us who, maybe want to, let's say use your services and have you help us, what are we looking at as far as, is it a one-time thing? I know you said something that took, about 3 sessions for you before you finally really kind of had that light bulb. So, what does it typically look like?
So it really varies by the person and where they are. I'm big about like, the more you do on your own, the quicker this is going to go. Right. The quicker you're going to create the change. And I'm honest about that. Like, I don't want to carry you along for years. I want you to not need me. That is why I'm in this field. Right. And so I would say on average, like really depending on the topic, when it comes to limiting beliefs, it could be 3, 5 sessions, sometimes 10 sessions. It really depends on where someone is and how much work they're doing on their own.
Okay.
I'm all about self-hypnosis, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm just like guiding you. It's like listening to a meditation,
Guided meditation.
and being guided. And so like I'm launching a program shortly. It's a monthly program that is affordable for people to help, like, less than $100 a month for people to start to learn how to do kind of self-hypnosis on themselves, to do some of these modalities. And then I see myself as almost like that crisis person, where it's like, you come to me and I want to give you every tool I got and give you as much so that you have enough to work, on your own. So I'm not like that traditional type of therapist where you see me, some people do start seeing me on a weekly basis because they want to start to feel good. And then we start spreading it out. It's like every 3 weeks and then sometimes every month. And,
right.
Some people may not be able to do that, and that's fine. So then there, you get the resources. You maybe would see me once, work on stuff for like a month and then come back if there like something pops up. I'm kind of like that. I like to see myself like that. Like I'm like the bigger guns in the belt,
right.
like to make sure we get as much change. Like if someone's feeling great and wonderful, like I always say, I'm like, I love you. I love connecting with you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you.
We're done.
Great. And I don't want to see you. Like I want you to go out and experience, keep connected with me, like, keep me updated. But, I don't want to bring you in and just talk about how wonderful everything's going.
Right.
So
and you can
that's kind of how I see myself.
Yeah. And you can focus in on certain areas. So, for example, let's say I wanted to come to you with weight loss, because that's my biggest struggle. That's the one trauma area I'm still stuck on. So, I can come to you and say, let's work on whatever it is that's keeping me from being my optimal health, my optimal self, or,
exactly.
Somebody who wanted to quit smoking or addictions, or, so you can focus in and target in on.
Oh yeah. Aspects. Yeah, absolutely. And, I have done that, we kind of, cause the eating, for example, right. It is coming from an emotional aspect,
Mm-hmm.
typically. Right. We also have this. So it's like, we want to address where that came from and what conditionings that we've acquired from our life. It's coping, like how that especially with food, like we have ingrained such a strong connection with feeling good in food. Like, go out to eat, we're with friends, we were having a good time. We're in school, we get rewarded by food. Like everything is based on like this.
Eat your vegetables, get
positive
dessert.
Conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. Wow. Anne-Marie, this has been amazing. It's very fascinating to me. I'm so fascinated by different modalities and stuff, and how the brain works and how we can not manipulate it, but change it.
Yeah.
It's
set in stone. Understanding it. It's understanding it. Like if we understand who we are and what makes up that, then we can change it. Absolutely. So it is.
Yeah, this has been fascinating. Thank you. Listeners, I will, as always, have all of Anne-Marie's contact information in the show notes. Go to releasingtraumapodcast.com and pull up her episode. All her contact information will be there so that you can reach out to her and get more support for your healing journey. This sounds like a fascinating modality. I'm really going to look into this more seriously. So thank you. And listeners, always, 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 thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you in the next show. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure you hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss a show. Be sure to check us out on our new socials on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.